Welcome once again, everybody. Brandon Stubbs, Steve Gallegos, and Gordie Tamayo here with TheTitleFight.com. Going to touch base over last night's action with welterweight championship bout between Timothy Desert Storm Bradley and Juan Manuel Marquez in a pretty exciting fight. Kind of turned people's heads a big way in wondering exactly what happened with Bradley. He kind of took Marquez to school in some senses in the boxing realm, which was kind of a shocker for some people. To be honest, I picked against him as well, and I proved myself wrong along with a lot of other people. Brandon, what was your overall interpretation here of how Bradley seemed to have switched up his game plan? He stuck to it, went and outboxed Marquez and outsmarted him to take a decision here. What was your thoughts?
Absolutely. You know, I picked Marquez to win and thinking that Bradley's probably get the best of him, and he would go on and he'd have a slugfest. But he did the smart thing and the thing that I said he needed to do to win, which was box. He went out, he literally used movement, used his speed, and just outboxed Marquez for 12 rounds. I don't see that being a split decision. I thought he clearly won. I thought he won probably 8 rounds to 4. You could maybe make it even a wider margin. But he did the smart thing, stayed patient, and just outboxed Marquez for 12 rounds, which is something nobody thought he was going to do, but then he had the skill set capable of doing it if it came down to that.
Looks great. I mean, Steve, I know you were over there talking really up about his jab that he was putting in place there and mixing it up, going downstairs to the body. Marquez just seemed like he never got out of first gear. He almost looked confused at times, too, which, you know, you haven't seen that from him in a while. And so just a pretty impressive performance overall by Bradley here. Steve, what was your take on what was going on with Marquez's brain and why he just wasn't able to pull the trigger?
Well, Marquez expected Bradley to come out and fight the same way that he fought Ruslan Provodnikov, just come forward, stand in the pocket, and go to war. And, of course, that's what Marquez wanted, because that way he can see him coming and he can pick him off with counter shots, you know, like he does with everyone else. Marquez is not a good fighter when he has to come forward and has to be the aggressor. He's more or less the counterpuncher that picks his opponents apart. So that threw him off a great deal. And also, he didn't expect Bradley to use a jab very often. And Bradley's jab was, you know, piston-like, you know, just beautiful last night. And, you know, and also he showed great defense, you know, was able to deduct shots, you know, turn his head really well. Even use the Mayweather shoulder roll, you know, fairly well, you know. Of course, you know, nobody could do it better than Floyd, but he did a very, very good job at it, and it just confused Marquez all night long. You know, Marquez, you know, as usual, says he got robbed, thinking that he won the fight, but he was clearly a beaten man. He knew it. Nacho knew it, you know, so... basically, hats off to Tim Bradley. You know, he's had a great 2013. The fans booed him badly, but really, you can't knock Tim Bradley for that performance. It was beautiful. He outboxed him. He was the better man.
Yeah, definitely. I don't agree with Marquez's statements post-fight either, but that was pretty typical of Marquez. So, you know, after the interview there, Bradley had stated that now he considers himself, or people should consider himself, at least top 3 in the world behind Floyd and Ward. Brandon, what's your opinion of that statement that Bradley made? Is that pretty bold? Is that too bold, or is he, you know, does he have some justice in saying that there?
I mean, he can say it, but it's one of those things to where it's Floyd and it's everyone else. So really, who's 2 through 10 really honestly doesn't matter that much. I think he has a legit argument to definitely be amongst the top 5 in the world. You can even make the argument of him being in the top 3, given the fact that some of the guys who are in that list have been inactive, like Andre Ward, like Sergio Martinez. He's now beaten Marquez, who was also up there in that list. So he can make the argument, but it's still Floyd and everyone else. So where exactly he's ranked there, it doesn't give him any extra cash, so it really doesn't matter that much.
Important to point out here, I mean, granted, Bradley's in kind of an awkward position where he's kind of being forced into taking the bad guy role. You know, a lot of fans just aren't really jumping on the Bradley bandwagon yet. He's still getting big paydays off of name marquee fights, getting marquee fights off of name fighters here, while guys like, you know, Devin Alexander are getting the Sean Porters. Steve, what's your interpretation of that? What do you think it's going to take for fans to try to buy into Timothy Bradley?
Well, there's not much more that he could do to have fans appreciate him, because I don't know, I'm not sure what it's going to take, because after the Pacquiao win, which he got a decision he didn't deserve, and also rubbed fans the wrong way by actually saying that he thought he won the fight, fans are still upset with him over that. I mean, after the Provodnikov fight, he should have won back a great legion of fans, the way he fought, how he showed a lot of heart, and then he switched gears tonight and put on a great boxing performance. I'm not sure what it's going to take other than what he's already done.
Sure. What's next on the table for Bradley then? Brandon, this goes to you. I mean, names that were possibly thrown out there. If Rios were to get through to Pacquiao, then Bob's talking about possibly matching those two guys up, which that could be a pretty brutal slugfest there if Bradley doesn't stick composed into his boxing game plan like he did last night. What would you like to see him in the mix with next?
And I would like to see him get Floyd, because for the simple fact I think he's deserved that right, but everyone knows the boxing Cold War is not going to let that happen. Quite honestly, he's going to be getting another one of the rehashes from Top Rank, so you're either going to be looking at him getting a Ruslan rematch, Mike Alvarado, or a rematch with Pacquiao or Brandon Rios. It's going to be one of those four. And quite honestly, how are you going to market that? I mean, granted, you can do the Ruslan and the Pacquiao fights as being rematches and can maybe market it that way, but you're going to need one of those other guys to help carry that promotion, because even in that victory last night, you can tell that, fans aren't going to flock to order pay-per-views with him headlining. So he's going to need another big name alongside of him to help carry that promotion and carry that pay-per-view if that's the route they want to go with him going forward. If not, he's going to be a mainly HBO fighter. And quite honestly, I mean, he's just one of those guys, his personality, it rubs people the wrong way. He doesn't come off as being real personable. He's very cocky, somewhat arrogant. But if he's going to be the bad guy, completely embrace it and use that as a selling point going forward. And I think he still hasn't wrapped his head around that.
Right.
If you're going to be the villain, and that'll help him actually build a base of people who hate him, who order pay-per-views and watch his fights just to see him lose.
Sure. Yeah, it's similar to what Floyd did and similar to what Broner's doing as well. So, speaking of boxing, and Bradley did box beautifully last night. We got another bout that's coming up that just got announced recently, and Austin Trout coming up and taking on Erislandy Lara. Steve, I think you might have had a chance to kind of think about this bout here once you heard about initially getting inked in. One of our own fam with TheTitleFight.com, Metaphorical, has actually been in the gym with Trout and kind of gave us a little bit of insider instinct on what's been going on, and stating that Trout's kind of trying to pull the trigger with that killer instinct mentality, since it hasn't been something that's been his in the past. He's been more accustomed to just being a boxer, a pure boxer, and it comes naturally to him. What's your take on this matchup here, Steve? Trout versus Lara.
It's a great matchup on paper, styles match up very well, you got the aggressive, boxer-puncher style, with Erislandy Lara. He loves to come forward, loves to make for great fights. Austin Trout is, more of a boxer, I don't see him winning this fight on coming forward and being aggressive, I think, him using his jab, putting combinations together, the way he did against Miguel Cotto, that's the blueprint to winning this fight.
Oh, good points there. And Lara, widely known enough, at least amongst boxing heads, as being a pure boxer himself as well. Would you have any predictions early on here, Brandon, on just hearing about this initial matchup taking place?
It's a weird matchup because both of them style kind of being what they are, and you kind of saw a little bit more aggressiveness from Lara. You kind of got to wonder what kind of matchup are we going to get. Are we going to get a 12-round chess match? Or are these guys going to go for 12 and try to steal the show and make an impact there in the 154-pound division? I really don't know how to pick this one because it's so, I don't want to say an odd or weird or bad matchup. These two styles just really are throwing me off to where I have no idea which direction to go. I think it's going to be entertaining. Like I said, it's going to be a slugfest or it's going to be a chess match for 12 rounds. But regardless of whatever card this on, fights that can steal the show and can be really entertaining for us purists and boxing fans.
Definitely. And then last but not least, to cap it off here, we got, a bout that a lot of people are really excited about. And Peter Quillin, Kid Chocolate, coming up and taking on Gabriel Rosado. Steve, I know you got to tap in just earlier on this week on the media conference call and hear some of the words that were coming back between these two. A lot of mutual respect seems to be floating between these two camps, but you could also get the sense that, they both want to really just put hands on each other and make one of them really hurt. What was your overall, take when you initially heard them on the line there and just kind of hearing some of the feedback that was going back and forth?
It's pretty much evenly matched between these two. Both of these are very good, skilled fighters, but they also love to get in and mix it up. I didn't hear any bad mouthing going on between either one of these fighters. Pure mutual respect between the two. They're both talking as if they want to go out there and go for the gusto, especially Gabe Rosado. He wants to go out there and, go for the knockout. He says he's not going to leave this fight in the hands of the judges. He's going to go for the knockout. And really, he is capable of doing that. He's, even though he's moved up from 154, he actually was a big junior middleweight. So I think the punching power is fairly decent here. Gabe Rosado is never in a bad fight, even in his losses, against Triple G and the loss to J. Leon Love. He showed a lot of heart. Fought hard. He said he didn't let J. Leon Love off the hook. Thought he had the decision. He's not going to do it in this fight. Peter Quillin says he's going to go out there and try to hurt him, try to put his fists on him. So I expect a good technical boxing match. Fisticuffs are going to be flying.
Good deal. And Brandon, what's your take? I mean, you kind of along those lines as well, or you thinking it's going to be a little bit different? Quillin's obviously coming in with no losses on his record, stating he made an interesting comment that kind of built some buzz and seems to have turned the wrong way. He made some clarification on that through the conference call, but saying that Rosado knows how to lose. Quillin doesn't know how to lose. He hasn't lost yet, so it's a different type of hunger. Quillin looking to keep his O, and Rosado just trying to keep from not losing again. What's your take on this? We've both seen them both touch the canvas at one point in time or another, both make it back up, so they obviously both have some warrior hearts. What's your take on what's going to happen?
Yeah, I really agree with Steve. I think this is going to be the toughest matchup today for Quillin. I think Gabe's really going to push him, and I honestly think this is going to be the fight that Gabe finally gets it. He finally kind of gets over that hump. He finally gets that W in one of these marquee fights against one of these names, and he actually gets the title. I think the more and more he fights here to 160, he's going to get stronger and more confident. I think this will now be either his third or fourth fight there at that weight class. So I think he's going to be more comfortable now at 160. I think Quillin is one of these guys who we know he's good. We know he's got a skill set, but we're just not sure how good he is. Given the fact that they've kind of padded his stats, padded his wins against lower level competition there. The GoPro has promoted him against here over the last couple of years. So this is going to be his first real major test, I say. And I really think Gabe's going to push him, and I like Gabe actually coming out. Now, I think it's going to end via knockout or TKO. I think it'll go a while. It'll go probably over 8 rounds, but I like Gabe actually pulling this one out and finally getting over that hump and getting the world title.
Good stuff, fellas. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Once again, this is Brandon Stubbs, Steve Gallegos, and Gordie Tamayo with TheTitleFight.com. Make sure you check us out. Also, visit my man Brandon over here at PunchToTheFace.com. That's punch number 2 to theface.com for your MMA aficionados as well. And get at us. Until next time.